Then we'll start with the class, guys. That is, we have started with the second model. That yes, requirement engineering, right? In that we have seen what is exactly requirement engineering, right? Requirement engineering process. In that we have seen what do you mean by exactly requirement, the different types of requirement, right? Then after that we have seen the what do you mean by stakeholders, different types of stakeholders, taking to the consideration of the meant case system, case study, right? We have defined how we are going to indicate a user requirement, system requirement, how we are going to indicate the stakeholders. That everything we have seen. In last class we have seen about the functional and the non-functional requirement. Do you remember, guys, what is functional and the non-functional requirement at least now? What it is exactly? What is the use of functional and the non-functional requirements? Can anyone tell? Functional and the non-functional requirements. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, guys. What is functional requirement? Functional requirements are nothing but these are the statements that are going to indicate the which are all the system services provided by the system, or you can say the services functions provided by the system, however system is going to behave in a particular situation, right? And how it is going to behave with respect to the different how it is going to react to the particular inputs. That everything you are going to indicate within the functional requirement. Clear? That means it is going to depend upon the what type of software you are using in the system, right? Along with that it is going to taken into the consideration of the who are all the people going to involved in that system. Along with that, which organization is developing that particular requirements for the system, right? These all things will be taken into the consideration whenever you are specifying the functional requirements. I hope it is clear, guys, right? Yes. Then after that we have seen the non-functional requirement, right? In non-functional requirements are nothing but they are going to specify the constraints, the constraint on the system services, right? Like for example you have seen the timing constraints. Like for example you can say how reliable it is, what is the execution time, right? Along with that it is also going to provide you the constraints on the developing process and the standards. Like you can define which IDE, which programming language you are going to use, or which are all the development methods you are going to use. These all things and the constraint on this on those operations, that everything you are going to define in the non-functional requirement. Yes or no? And along with that we have seen the different types of non-functional requirements in the last class. Do you remember? 3 different kinds of non-functional requirements are there. One is product requirement, organizational requirement, and the external requirement. Remember these things, guys, right? Whenever the requirements, right, whenever you are going to deliver the product, then the requirement, that is the product requirements, needs to specify how they are going to behave in a particular way, right? Then organizational means that needs to meet the organizational policies and the procedures, right? External means these are the requirements, those are you are going to consider the factors which are coming from the outside of the system. That means those are external to the system, that you are going to include within the external requirement. With an example we have seen these all the 3 types of requirements. Along with that we have seen as already told, the non-functional requirements are very difficult, right, to precisely define or to state those one compared to the functional requirements. So you have to set and you have to verify those non-functional requirements. Setting the goal is nothing but you are going to identify what is the intention of the user, right? How he is going to easily use your system. That everything you are going to specify as a goal of the non-functional requirement. And verification means before, by taking into the consideration of the some measures, right? You are going to test that requirements, whether they are working properly or no, right? These are the words, some things you are going to consider related with the non-functional requirement. Then after that we have seen the metrics for specifying the non-functional requirement. There are some properties and what are all the different types of measures you are going to consider for the non-functional requirement. That what we have seen in the last class. Any doubts till this, guys? Any doubts? Hello, can you hear me? Are you there? No? Yes. Then after that we have started with requirement engineering process. That is, in detail we are going to study the what are all the sub stages are there in the requirement engineering process. As already I told, the requirement engineering process is nothing but you can call it as a system specification. That means here you are going to define what your system should do, right, along with the constraint on its operation. Yes or no? That is the work of the requirement engineering process. But this requirement engineering process, what are all the activities you are going to include, they are not same. They are not fixed for all the types of the system. They are going to vary because they are depending upon the different types of the factors, like for the application domain, the people involved, and which organization is developing those type of requirements, right? These all things will be considered. So because of that, the processes whichever you are going to use in a requirement engineering, those are not constant. They are going to vary, right? Then after that we have stated some generic activities. That is, those are general activities. Those are present with respect to the all the processes of requirement engineering. Which are all those activities? Is nothing but the requirement elicitation and analysis and the validation and management. These are the what some generic activities. Those are common to all the processes of the requirement engineering, right? So in practice, these all requirement engineering, whatever the activities we have listed, those are iterative activity. Iterative indicates what? One by one you are going to execute, right? In which these processes are interleaved. Clear? Then after that we have seen the spiral view of the requirement engineering process. Remember, guys, these all things in the last class only we have discussed these all things. Hello, can you hear me? Are you listening to the class? Please respond. Yes. Okay, then after that we have seen what in detail we are studying the requirement elicitation, right? Requirement elicitation, you can also call it as sometimes requirement discovery. That means name itself indicates you are going to discover the requirement. Who is going to provide the requirement? The customer, because he wants to develop the system, right? To meet his requirement, he is going to the one organization, one technical people, one technical industry, right? So the whatever the technical staffs will be there in the industry, they are going to work with the customer to find out the application domain and what are the services that system should provide and the system's operational constraint, right? That means mainly the technical staff and the customer, these are the main two stakeholders will be there in case of a requirement discovery. I hope it is clear. Name itself indicates requirement discovery, right? You are discovering, right, the requirements which are needed for your system development, right? For that, which application domain you are going to use, what are the services it needs to provide, right? And which are all the constraints will be there on that system's operation. That everything will be what seen by the technical staff who is going to work with the customer, right? That means here the technical staff and the customer, these are the main two types of stakeholders. Already you know what you mean by stakeholder. Stakeholder is nothing but it may be a person or it may be a organization, right, who are going to affected by a system or they have an interest in that particular system. Those we are calling it as the stakeholders. So the technical staff and the customer, these are the two main stakeholders related with the requirement discovery. Along with that, it may include the end users, managers, engineers who are going to maintain the system, and the domain experts, trade unions. These are also called as the stakeholders related with the requirement discovery. I hope it is clear till this point. I think in the last class only we have discussed. Is that clear? Yes guys. Yes. Yes, today's class will start with again the requirement illustration. This is the first activity included within the requirement engineering process. Right. Again, this particular what requirement illustration and the analysis phase, it is going to divided into again number of phases. Right. Which are all the phases are there in the requirement illustration that we are going to study in today's class. See here, requirement illustration. The software engineers who are going to work, right, the software engineers who are going to work with a range of the system stakeholders to find out the application domain, the services that the system should provide, and the required system performance, hardware constraint, and the other system, etc. As already told, the requirement engineering or the illustration, it is going to involve the technical staff who is going to work with the customer so that he can identify, he can find out which are all the application domains are needed to develop that particular system, right? And is there, what are all the different kinds of services that particular system needs to provide, right? Along with that, the constraint on the system's operation. These everything will be identified by the software engineer, you can say, or the technical staff who is working with the system stakeholders. Here the system stakeholder is nothing but your end user or the customer, right? Is that clear? In the last slide itself we have seen the stakeholders related with the requirement illustration. So in this requirement illustration, it is going to have again different kind of stages, right? There are 4 different kinds of stages are there. Those are included within the requirement illustration. That is nothing but first is requirement discovery, then requirement classification and the organization, requirement prioritization and negotiation, and the requirement specification. These are the more 4 stages included within the requirement illustration. Now in today's class we are going to study these all stages in detail. What is the exactly work of these all the 4 types of stages included within the requirement illustration. I hope it is clear. 4 stages are there in the requirement illustration, that are nothing but requirement discovery. You are going to classify the requirements and you are organizing. Then requirement prioritization, right, and negotiation, requirement specification. I hope it is clear guys, getting the thing. Hello, can you hear? See, before that studying those all 4 studies, first we will write the what all the problems are there with respect to this requirement illustration. See, the stakeholders don't know what they really want. Now see, now for example, as a customer, just I want some system needs to be developed, but thoroughly I don't know, right, what are the different services those needs to be included within the system. As a technical staff, you might be knowing, but as the end user or the normal user, it is not possible that what exactly I want, right, from that particular system development. So the stakeholders don't know what they really want. That is the one problem in case of a requirement illustration you are going to face, and the stakeholders express the requirement in their own terms, right? The normal users are here, stakeholders are nothing but, you can take here the customers, right? They are going to express the requirements in their own terms. Now as a customer, he is going to define the statements in a natural language, right? As a technical member, you can define the requirements in the technical way, right? That means both the stakeholders are going to express the requirement in their own terms. Both are not using the specific same specification. Is that clear? Getting the thing? Now I am telling the stakeholders, we are considering only two stakeholders, technical staff and the customer. Customer may be writing the statements in a natural language, right? As a technical staff, you are going to write the the requirements in a software specification. Yes or no? In their own terms they are going to express. That is the one more problem you are going to face in a requirement illustration. Then the different stakeholders may have conflicting requirement, right? Then the organizational and the political factors may influence the system requirement again, because you need to follow the some organizational policies and the procedures, right? Whenever that organization is developing the requirement, you need to follow its policies and the procedures. That is also going to influence the system requirement. The requirements may change during the analysis process, and the new stakeholders may emerge. The business environment may change, right? As the requirements, as already told, if business is growing, you will come up with the different needs. According to your need, you need to add those all requirements, right? So the requirements may be going to change within the analysis process, right? And if the new stakeholders come into the existence of the requirement elicitation process, they may again have the different ideas. Those everything needs to be added within the requirement elicitation. These are the some type of problems you are going to face in a requirement elicitation. Clear, guys? Hello? Can you hear me? Are you there in the meeting? Yes? These are the some problems. Then after that, now we will see all the four phases included within the requirement elicitation. See, just go through the diagram. As already told, the requirement elicitation and analysis process. It is going to have first requirement discovery, then requirement classification and organization is there, requirement prioritization and the negotiation, and the requirement specification. These are all interleaved. See here, one by one iterative way you are executing, but there is a one-to-one connection is there. Yes, they are interleaved. Once the requirement specification is there, then again if the new stakeholder emerge, again you are discovering the requirement. So these all stages are interleaved. Clear? Is that clear? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me, guys? Yes? Now we will see what exactly the requirement discovery indicates. See, interacting with the stakeholders to discover their requirements. Domain requirements are also discovered at this stage. Just see what is requirement discovery. Along with having the communication with the or interacting with the stakeholders, you are going to discover the requirements for your system development. Along with that, here which application domain you are going to use. Yes, that also you are going to discover within the requirement discovery itself. Clear? Requirement discovery means interacting with the stakeholders to discover their requirement. Right, the customer is going to give the some requirement, the technical staff is going to give the some requirement, again the domain expert is also one stakeholder in the requirement elicitation. So he is also give his own requirement. Those all types of requirements you are going to discover interacting with all the stakeholders, and along with that the domain requirements, right? Which application domain you are going to use to develop that system, that is also going to be discovered at this particular stage only. Name itself indicates requirement discovery. Clear? The next is requirements classification and the organization. Name itself indicates here you are going to classify the requirements, right? If two or more requirements are falling into the same related concept, at that time you are grouping such related requirements into one group. Clear? You are combining the related requirements into the one group, and you are organizing them into the coherent clusters. Cluster is nothing but, again you can say the grouping, right? Organizing those requirements into the coherent clusters. Whatever the grouping you have done, right? Those grouping you are going to organize again in following the some manner. Organization. Already I studied no the data structure. Yes or no? What is the use of data structure, guys? Hello? Can you hear me? What is data structure, guys? What is the use of data structure? Why you are going to study the data structure? Just for storing the data you are using? Data structure is mainly for organizing the data. Yes or no? Data organization you are going to do by using a data structure. Like for example, stack, queue, linked list, trees you have studied, right? Stack is LIFO, queue is PIFO. That means how we are going to access the data, how we are going to organize the data, in which manner you are going to store that particular data. That everything you are going to study in the data structure, right? In such a manner, the requirements are also organized them into the coherent clusters, right? That thing is done in the second stage of the requirement elicitation process. The next is prioritization and the negotiation. That means you are going to, whatever the requirement you have discovered, right, for those all requirements you are going to give the priority, right, and resolving the requirement conflicts. That means if any different kinds of what the requirements are come into the existence, right, such type of requirements you are going to negotiate. Exactly. If conflicts requirements are there, you are going to resolve that one, right? And if it is not related to the system development, then you are going to do the negotiation of such requirements. Clear? As already you know, in the software engineering, for the requirement you are going to give the priority, which is going to have a highest priority. Those requirements must be needed developed first, right? So the prioritizing the requirement and resolving the requirement conflicts is done in the third stage, right? And fourth one is requirement specification. Now whatever the requirements, right, along with the classification, organization, prioritization and negotiation, whatever the requirements you got, those all requirements are documented and input into the next round of the spiral, right? Already we have seen the spiral view of the the requirement engineering process, right? Now you have come up with all the requirements that are needed for the system development. Those all will be documented and that will be passed as the input for the next round or the next phase in the requirement engineering process. I hope it is clear, guys, getting the thing. These are the main 4 activities, process activities are there in the requirement elicitation. Clear? Just in brief we have seen now what is the work of these all things. Now in detail we are studying now once again the requirement discovery. Clear? Are you getting the thing? Please respond, guys. Okay. Next we will see the requirement discovery once again. As already told, what is requirement discovery? It is the process of gathering the information about the required and existing systems and distilling the user and the system requirement from this information. See, here it is just you are gathering the information from all the stakeholders, right? That stakeholders may give the information that is required for this system development, or they may give the requirements those are taken from the already existing system, right? Once you got all the requirement, right, then you are separating what all the user requirement are there and what is the system requirement are there. from that the particular information what you got. Already you know there are two types of requirements are there. One is user requirement and second one is the system requirement. User requirements are nothing but those are written by using a natural language, right? Those are mainly written for the customers. And system requirements are nothing but you are going to give the system description in detail. Those are called as the system requirement. Now whatever the information you have gathered, right, depending upon that information, from that information you are separating which are the user requirement and which are the system requirements. That is done in the requirement discovery itself. Clear? Then interaction is with the system stakeholders from manager to the external regulators. As already I told, the requirement discovery, it is going to involve the technical staff, right? It is going to have the stakeholders as the customers or the end users, engineers who are going to do the maintenance, domain experts, trade unions, managers. Those all stakeholders are going to interact with each other, right? That is done in the requirement discovery, because from their point of view they are going to give the information. Clear? So the interaction is with the system stakeholders from the managers to the external regulators. Then systems are normally have a range of stakeholders, right? Already I told there are different range of stakeholders will be coming to the existence of the each process activities. They are going to interact with each other to gather the information, and depending upon that information, from that information you are going to distill the which are all the user requirements are there and which are all the system requirements are there. This all work is done in the requirement discovery itself. Along with that you are going to define, you are going to get to know what all the domain requirements are there. That also you will come to know in the requirement discovery stage itself. I hope it is clear, guys. Right? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? No answer at all. Is that clear, guys? Requirement discovery. Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes, requirement discovery is clear. Right? Now we will see how they are going to gather the information from the different kinds of stakeholders. Right? For that case, they are going to use the interviewing. See, they are going to do the interview. Yes, requirement discovery is nothing but the process of gathering the information from the different kinds of the stakeholders, right? So depending upon that information you are going to distill the which are the user requirements are there, which are the system requirements are there, right? Now we will see how exactly there is something problem is going on. Hello, can you hear me, guys? Hello. Yes. Okay, we are seeing that requirement engineering, requirement discovery, exactly, right? As already told, the requirement engineering or the discovery is nothing but process of gathering the information from all the kinds of stakeholders, so that depending upon from that particular information you are going to distill the which are the user requirement and which are the system requirement, right? To indicate that one how it is going to interact, so there must be interaction between the all the stakeholders with one another, then only you can get the information. So how that can be done? For that case they are going to use a interviewing, right? That interview may be taken out by using the two different concepts, that may be a formal or the informal interviews with the stakeholders are the part of most of the RE processes, that is requirement engineering processes. Are you getting? The interview can be done in the formal way or the informal way, right, with all the stakeholders who are a part of the your requirement engineering process. Is that clear? So then only there is the interactivity between the all the stakeholders, so that only it is possible for you to gather the information to indicate the user and the system requirements. Are you getting, guys? Please respond. Yes, now we will see what all the different types of interviews are there, right? There are mainly two types of interviews are there. One is closed interview and second one is the open interview, right? Interview can be done in a formal or the informal way with all the stakeholders who are the part of the requirement engineering process. So there are mainly two types of interviews are there. One is closed interview and second one is the open interview. Now we'll see what do you mean by closed interview. Closed interviews are based upon the predetermined list of questions. That means already in advance there are some list of questions will be there. Depending upon that you are going to do the closed interview. And second one is open interview, where it indicates that where the various issues are explored with the stakeholders. That means with respect to the particular issue, right, you are going to have an interaction with the different kinds of stakeholders, and depending upon that you are going to gather the information, right? So that is those issues are explored with the all the kinds of the stakeholders. That is what called as the open interview. I hope it is clear, getting the thing. Types of interviews, there are two types. One is closed and second one is the open. Closed means some predetermined list of questions will be there, right? Then open interview means to resolve some issues, right? You are going to explore those issues with all the stakeholders who are part of the requirement engineering process. Clear? Getting the thing? Now we'll see what you mean by effective interview. Now you are conducting an interview that may be a formal or the informal interview with all the stakeholders. Now what do you mean by effective interviewing? Right? See, the effective interviewing must be open-minded and avoid the preconceived ideas about the requirements and are willing to listen to the stakeholders, right? Those whatever the stakeholders you are going to use within that interview, those must be open-minded, right? And they need to avoid the preconceived ideas about the requirement, right? Because they have come up with some ideas, some requirement, right? That must be they are trying to convince it to the all the stakeholders, right? They need to avoid it, or they well in advance they want to convince it to the all the stakeholders, right? That work should be avoided with respect to the stakeholders, and along with that are willing to listen to the stakeholders. That means here compulsory I told, whenever you are gathering information there should be interaction with the each and every stakeholders who are a part of the requirement engineering process, right? So there must be willing to listen to the all the stakeholders. These are the some things should be there whenever you are calling that as a effective interviewing. Clear? The stakeholders must be open-minded. They need to avoid the preconceived ideas about the requirement and are willing to listen to the the stakeholders. Then second one is the prompt the interviewee to get the discussions going using a springboard question, a requirement proposal, or by working together on a prototype system. See, whenever as a system developer, now the manager is conducting a interviewing with all the different kinds of the stakeholders. At that time, who are all the interviewees are there, right? They need to get a discussion going using the springboard questions. That means some predefined or the list of questions will be given to the interview. On that they are going to do the discussions, and the requirement proposal for that system development. What all the requirements are there? The proposal of those requirements will be given to the interviewee. Then along with that, by working together on the prototype system. Now whatever the stakeholders for a part of requirement engineering, they are going to work together on the prototype system. Already you know prototype is just like the model. That is not the actual development. Exactly, just you are showing how that particular system is going to work by doing some models, right? That is what called as a prototype system. So they are going to work in such a manner that they are going to work together to provide some prototype system for that particular the system which you are developing. Clear? That is what some of the factors should be there. These are some characteristics should be there whenever you are calling it as a effective interviewing. Clear? In that effective interviewing, we are thinking about what are the characteristics should be there with respect to the stakeholder, and how the interviewee needs to behave with respect with all the other stakeholders, that the characteristics it is showing. Is that clear? Effective interviewing, guys. Is that clear? Hello, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. The next we will see interviews in practice. Now where you are using exactly such type of interviews. See, normally a mix of closed and the open-minded interviews you are using, open-ended interviewing. And interviews are good for getting the overall understanding of what the stakeholders do and how they might interact with the system, right? By doing such effective interviews or the different kinds of interviews, you will come to know that what is the understanding of the stakeholders, right? What that exactly stakeholders are doing by conducting the interviews, you will come to know. Then how they might interact with the system. These all things you are going to get by doing the interviewing. And the interviewers need to be open-minded without preconceived ideas of what the system should do, as already told, right? Interviewers must be open-minded, and they need to avoid the preconceived ideas about the system, about the requirement, to indicating that what that system should do. That you think you are going to come to know by using the interviewing. And you need to prompt the user to talk about the system by suggesting the requirement rather than simply asking them what they want. Clear? Now see, the customer will come. Customer is now a stakeholder with respect to your system development, right? He will come to the technical staff and he is saying his requirement as a stakeholder. Now he will just with the natural processing language, he is telling his statements, what all the requirements are needs to be added within the system. Now as a technical staff, just you should not take you should not ask the customer what exactly they want. Instead of that, you need to give a suggestion so that this can be added within that particular system, right? Then it will be helpful for you. Such type of the suggestion needs to be given by the stakeholders also, right? Other type of stakeholders who are going to be a part of the requirement engineering process. Clear? These are the some characteristics you can say. right, that needs to be present with respect to the interviewing. Clear? Interviewing, normally it is a mix of closed, what do you know, closed interview means where some predefined, it is based upon this some predefined list of questions you are going to conduct. Then open interview means what? Some issues will be there that will be get explored to the stakeholders. So it is a mixture of both open and the closed ended interviewing. Always, right? So according to the which type of system you are developing, depending upon that you can select the interview. Clear? Just it is to do the interaction with the all the stakeholders who are a part of the requirement engineering process. For that case you are going to use the interviewing. I hope it is clear, guys, getting the thing. Yes or no? Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Next, yes. The next is what all the problems are there with respect to the interviews, right? Now interviews, the application specialist may use the language to describe their work that is not easy for the requirement engineer to understand. See, that means you can say again one more example about the interviews. Now the normal, as a normal user or the end user is also one of the stakeholder. He is writing in a natural language all the statements, right? His requirement. And one more is the technical staff, he is writing his views in a different manner. Then it is not easy to understand the requirement. Such type of problems you are going to face in the interviews. One more example they have given here is that application specialist, right, who is developing the system may use the different language to describe his work. That is not easy for the requirement engineer to understand. That is the one problem you are going to face in case of interviews. And interviews are not good for understanding the domain requirement. As already I told in the requirement discovery, right, along with the requirement discover, you are going to identify the domain requirements also. But conducting the interviewing, it is not possible to understand the domain requirements. Why? Because the requirements engineers cannot understand the specific domain terminology. That is the one case is there. And some domain knowledge is so familiar that the people find it hard to articulate, or they think that is not worth articulating, right? These are the two things. Those will be taken into the consideration. Because of that they can say that the interviews are not good for understanding the domain requirement. The requirement engineer might not be knowing the specific domain terminology, and whatever the domain if he are using, according to he might be having some knowledge about the domain, but he'll think that it is hard to use for this particular system. We cannot hear you. I am not audible. Hello. Again network problem. Hello Kiran, am I audible now? Hello. Can you hear me guys now? Hello, can you hear me guys now? Sujit, can you hear me? Yes. Yes, we are still, I am not audible properly. Now you can see. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible now? Sujit, Kiran, Snehal. Audible, no? Still my voice is breaking or what? No? Yes, okay. See, we are studying the problems of the interviews, right? One is whatever the application specialist using the language that might not be understood by the requirement engineer. That is the one thing. And second one is by conducting the interviews, it is not good for understanding the domain requirement. Why? Because the requirement engineer might not be knowing the domain terminologies. And second one is he might be having some domain knowledge, but he will think that it is not familiar for what? Familiar to find the people that it is hard to articulate, use, right? Or think that it is not worth articulating with respect to that system development. These are the some problems you are going to face with respect to the interviews. Okay. The next one more thing is there with respect to the